brother Dennis, came home one day from school and said, "Hey, Brian, write a song about surfing. Everybody would love it because they're all surfing."
Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA.
First record that we produced was with a guy named Nick Benet at Capitol Records, and we did the Surfing Safari album with him.
Let's go surfing now, everybody's learning how. Come on a safari with me.
We were all trying to copy the Beach Boys in '63. You know, Terry and I had made this record called Hey Little Cobra that was a pretty big hit, but that we were just knocking off the Beach Boys sound.
Brian is a genius. It probably comes so easily to him that he doesn't really fully understand, how talented he really is.
I don't really remember being real aware that we had substantial talent. It was just really quite innocent. We just wanted to make a record.
I wish they all could be California.
Beach Boys had a head start on everybody else because they had harmony.
The Beach Boys do a very unique thing. A four-freshman vocal to a contemporary rhythm pattern.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round.
I feel very fortunate that I got to work with Brian and Carl and all the other guys, Al, because I've seen them grow from nothing to a point of where they were superstars.
Now, from Hawthorne, California, the fabulous Beach Boys.
Dick Clark presents the Beach Boys, a 20th anniversary tribute. And now, here's Dick Clark.
Thank you, Jim Carson, and hello. A group of artists who've been making a very special kind of music for 2 decades now and still going strong. The Beach Boys. Now, not long ago, I spent a rather leisurely afternoon at the California home of a man who some people call a genius, other people call him eccentric, but on one point there is total agreement. He's been the guiding creative force behind the Beach Boys since their beginnings 20 years ago. One of the group's 3 brothers, Brian Wilson. Can we go way back chronologically to begin with when it all started? What started the Beach Boys?
Well, Dick, it was a number of things. One thing, of course, was my brother Dennis, who was a surfer at that time. And he came home one day from school and said, "Hey, Brian, write a song about surfing. Everybody would love it because they're all surfing,
Did you know anything about surfing?
I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it.
Is it true you've never been on a surfboard?
Yeah, I have been on a surfboard. I was on a surfboard once and I almost got my head cut off. The board just missed my head. The tip of the board whizzed past my head and I was scared to death. I never got on again.
Let's go surfing now, everybody's learning how. Come on a safari with me. Come on a safari with me. Early in the morning we'll be starting out. Some honeys will be coming along. We're loading up our woody with our boards inside and heading out singing our song. Come on baby, wait and see. Yes, I'm gonna take you surfing with me. Come along, surf baby, wait and see. Yeah, I'm gonna take you surfing with me. Let's go surfing now, everybody's learning how. Come on a safari with me. Come on a safari. Huntington and Malibu, they're shooting the pier. And Rincon, they're walking the nose. We're going on safari to the islands this year, so if you're coming, get ready to go. Come on, baby, wait and see. Yes, I'm gonna take you surfing with me. Come on, surf, baby, wait and see. Yeah, I'm gonna take you surfing with me. Let's go surfing now, everybody's learning how. Come on a safari with me. Come on a They're angling in Laguna and Sarasota. They're kicking out in Doheny too. I tell you, surfing's been a while, it's getting bigger every day. From Hawaii to the shores of Peru. Come on, baby, wait and see. Yes, I'm gonna
Oh, the memories that one brings back. Surfin' Safari, 1962. Now, that was the first chart hit for the Beach Boys, but not their first chart record. Hawthorne, California is a coastal town. It's about an hour's drive from Hollywood. It's a place where, well, the beach is a way of life. Murray and Audrey Wilson raised their 3 sons there, Brian, Carl, and Dennis. Murray Wilson's sister, Emily Love, lived nearby, and she had a son named Michael. Now, on a spring day in 1961, Murray and Audrey left on a weekend trip, leaving the boys at home with their cousin Mike Love. Brian Wilson remembers that weekend very well.
They left Carl and Dennis and I some money to buy food on, get food and to hang out, and stuff. And we spent the money and we rented a bass and we rented some drums. And by the time they got home from Mexico, we were a full-blown group.
What was the result of that session? What came out of that?
A song called Surfin' came out of that. Well, see, what happened was Mike Love came up with an idea, bomb, dip, 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 bomb. Remember that?
Oh, do I? What do you do? I remember it. I lived it.
Surfing is the only life, the only way for me. Now surf with me. Dip, 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 dip. I got up this morning, turned on my radio. I was checking out the surfing scene to see if I would go. And when the DJ tells me that the surfing is fine, that's when I know my baby and I will have a good time. Going surfing, dip, 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 surfing is the only life, the only way for me. Now surf with me. Dip, 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 dip. From the early morning to the middle of the night. Anytime the surf is up, the time is right. And when the surf is down to take its place, we'll do the surfer stomp. It's the latest dance craze. Dip, 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 surfing is the only life, the only way for me. Now surf with me. Dip, 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 dip. Now the dawn is breaking and we really gotta go, but we'll be back here very soon. That you better know. Yeah, my surfing knots are rising and my board is losing wax, but that won't stop me, baby, 'cause you know I'm coming back. Going surfing.
Well, there it is, the first recording ever made by the Beach Boys on Candix Records, 1961. Now, that's not quite the classic harmony sound that they would become famous for, but then again, it was just the beginning. As a matter of fact, they weren't even called the Beach Boys yet. The original group was comprised of Brian, Carl, and Dennis Wilson, cousin Mike Love, and a school chum, Al Jardine. Al, by the way, would leave the group for a while to study dentistry, and he was replaced by a boy named David Marks, but he would eventually return. In any case, they called themselves Carl and the Passions in high school, and then the Pendletones. That was after a brand of some kind of a surfer shirt. And then they called themselves the Surfers. So how came the name the Beach Boys, you ask? Well, you can give credit to this man.
This is Russ Regan. In the spring of 1961, I was a promotion man for Buckeye Record Distributors, and I get a phone call from a friend of mine from Candix Records, Joe Saraceno. He played something for me on the phone, and it sounded like a smash. It was called Surfin', by a new group, he said, called the Surfers. Well, I said, Joe, I agree with you. It sounds like a hit record, but, there's a group called the Surfers on Hi-Fi Records. Now, you can't call them the Surfers. He says, oh, my God, you're right. I forgot about that. He said, what the heck are we going to call them? So I'm going, well, it's surfing. Maybe we call them the Woodies or the Lifeguards or whatever, that kind of thing. All of a sudden, I said, hey, Joe, what about the Beach Boys? He said, that's it. We're going to call them the Beach Boys.
When some loud writer tries to put me down and says his school is great, I tell him right away, now what's the matter, buddy? Ain't you heard of my school? It's number 1 in the state. So be true to your school. It's just like you
1963, a Beach Boys classic, Be True to Your School. Now, by the time that hit the charts, the group had locked into that very, very distinctive Beach Boys sound. And I asked Brian how it came about.
As a kid, I think the Four Freshmen actually were the biggest influence in my life. They influenced my harmonies, and of course their harmonics were advanced in comparison to whatever was going on at that time.
All right, so the famous Beach Boy harmony was inspired by the Four Freshmen. What about the music? Well, Carl Wilson told me that was inspired by another legend.
I was listening mostly to Chuck Berry. I had Chuck Berry's albums, and he was really the main influence on me, musically speaking. The guitar, the way he played the boogie guitar and, did all those guitar riffs was really thrilling for me to hear.
That's an interesting combination. Four Freshmen harmony, coupled with that Chuck Berry vitality. Put them together, and you got a great American band with a 20-year legacy.
Just let me hear some of that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it. It's got a rock beat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it. It's gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me. If you wanna dance with me. I have no kicks against modern jazz, unless they try to play it too darn fast and change the beauty of the melody until it sounds just like a symphony. That's why I go for that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it. It's got a rock beat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it. It's gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me. If you wanna dance with me. I took my loved one over across the tracks so she could hear my man a wailing sax. I must admit they have a rockin' band. Man, they was blowing like a hurricane. That's why I go for that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it. It's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it. It's gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me. If you wanna dance with me. Way down south they gave a jubilee. I tell you folks, they had a jamboree and drinking beer from a wooden tub. The folks that dancing got all shook up. They started playing that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it. It's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old way you use it. It's gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me.
A Chuck Berry classic from a classic group. That, by the way, was a giant hit for the Beach Boys in 1976. Coming up, a visit with Mike Love and the man who engineered the first top 10 hit for the Beach Boys. By 1962, the Beach Boys had left Candix Records and signed with Capitol Records. They had a top 20 release in 62 with Surf and Safari, but that was followed by two records that, well, they didn't even crack the top 40. Now, in those days, it was sort of an unwritten law that the recording artists signed to a particular label cut their records in the studio owned by the label. But Brian Wilson and his father Murray, who was managing the group at the time, had some other ideas.
The first time I remember anything about the Beach Boys, or first encountered them, was probably in about 1962. Their father called. They said, "Do you think we can get a sound over there?" And I said, "I'm sure we can." So he booked all day Saturday, and the guys came in, and we did this little session. And out of that, we got a very big hit for them. The song was called Surfin' USA.
If everybody had an ocean across the USA, then everybody be surfing like California. You'd see them wearing their baggies, Warachi sandals too, a bushy blonde hair, surfing USA. You'll catch them surfing at the Ventura County line. And down to real soon. We're waxing down our surfboard. We can't wait for June. We'll all be gone for the summer. We're on safari to stay. Tell the teacher we're surfing USA. Anchorage and Inside, outside, Pacific Palisades. Inside, outside, San Onofre and Sun. Inside, outside, Redondo Beach, LA. Inside, outside, all over La Jolla. Inside, at Waimea Bay. Inside, outside, everybody's gone surfing USA. Surfing USA. Everybody's going surfing USA. Everybody's going
Surfing USA, and it went all the way to number 3 for the Beach Boys back in 1963. You know, it was that experience that convinced Brian that he had to record his music wherever he felt he could get the best sound. Now, he focused his attention on a few key studios in town. United Western Recording was one of them, and thus was born a long-standing relationship with engineer Chuck Britz. And Britz, well, he was impressed with the Beach Boys right from the start.
Well, you have to go back and think about when the Beach Boys actually started. The tracks that we had at that time were 3 tracks. There wasn't the sophisticated equipment that we have today. So when you stop to analyze how pure and how nice and how full sounding their tracks and their voices were, you even appreciate more by knowing what we had in those days and the sound that came out. 90% of it or 85% of it was due to the training that they had received from their mother and father and Brian.
The Beach Boys and the title track from their Spirit of America album. And right now I'd like to turn to one of the most intriguing members of the group, Mike Love. The other people in this group tell me you're the most philosophical member, the dreamer.
Yeah, I'm a visionary. I like to think that it's not just dreams, but seeing something in the future, or seeing something that you'd like to see in the future, and then going after it to
to make it that way.
Mike Love is an individualist, but then so are all the Beach Boys.
A lot of people sometimes think that maybe the Beach Boys are all running around the Woody together, and they're not. We all live 5, and with Bruce 6, distinctly different lives, completely different, each one of us. But I guess in that diversity, there is a lot of strength, too, because everybody brings a different point of view.
Down in Utah, the guys and I dig a city called Salt Lake. It's got the grooviest kids, that's why we never get tired of Salt Lake. And the way the kids talk so cool is an out-of-sight thing. And the #1 radio station makes the town really swing. Yeah. Salt Lake City will be coming soon. There's a park near the city, yeah, all the kids dig a lagoon now. It's full of all kinds of girls and rides, and we'll be flying there soon now. You pick up the girl that got the cutest of the western states. Yeah. They've got the sun in the summer and wintertime, the skiing is great. Yeah. Salt Lake City will be coming soon.
Singing the praises of Salt Lake City, the Beach Boys from their Spirit of America album. Up next, the Hot Rod Sounds, and the man who replaced Glenn Campbell. You remember Glenn Campbell? Sure, he was a Beach Boy at one time. By 1965, the Beach Boys were an established group with more than a dozen hit records to their credit. They were touring all over the world, and for Brian Wilson, well, all that traveling was getting to be a little too much. He felt he could be more productive at home in the studio, writing and producing. A replacement was needed for their tours. Now, of course, you realize, as we mentioned before, that Glenn Campbell was the original replacement, but he only toured for a very short time. Ultimately, Glenn was replaced by the man who is, well, he's part of the group to this day, Bruce Johnston.
I was sitting in an office in Los Angeles, and I got a call from Michael Love, and this was April of 1965, and he needed someone to replace Glenn Campbell, who was replacing Brian, and I couldn't find anyone. And I said, how about me? He said, okay. And my first Beach Boy concert was April 9th, 1965.
What were some of the songs that you played that night?
Everything we're playing now. We're doing the Surfing USA and Long Tall Texan.
Giddy up, giddy up. Well, I'm a long, tall Texan. I'll ride a big white horse. He rides from Texas on a big white horse. Well, I'm a long, tall Texan. I'll ride a big white horse. He rides from Texas on a big white horse. People look at me and say, oh, all right, that's all.
long, tall Texan. The Beach Boys in concert. Now, that sounds like fun. You know, the music of the Beach Boys is synonymous with fun and summer and surf and the beach and all of that stuff. But in the early 60s, after an awful lot of surfer-oriented hits, Dennis Wilson gave his brother Brian yet another idea. Now, Dennis was not only into surfing, he was into hot rods as well, and I guess he figured they could get some mileage out of that. And at about the same time, Brian had become good friends with a disc jockey in Los Angeles. His name? Roger Christian.
I did a 9 to midnight radio program at KFWB in Hollywood, and Brian would come up to the station at midnight. We'd go down to a place called Aldo's Restaurant and have hot fudge sundaes and write songs. First song we wrote together was a song called Shutdown, which is the story of a drag race.
Tack it up, buddy, gonna shut you down. It happened on the strip where the road is wide. Two cool shorts standing side by side. Yeah, my fuel-injected Stingray and a 413 are revving up their engines and it sounds real mean. Tack it up, buddy, gonna shut you down. Declining numbers at an even rate. At the count of one, we both accelerate. My Stingray is light, the slicks are starting to spin, but the 413's really digging in. Gotta be cool now, power shift, here we go. Superstars are just whining out in low, but my fuel-injected Stingray's really starting to go. To get the traction, I'm riding the clutch. My pressure plate's burning, that machine's too much. Pedals to the floor, here is two quads drink. And now the 13's lead is starting to shrink. He saw with ram induction, but it's understood. I got a fuel-injected engine sitting under my hood. Now shut it off, buddy, now I shut you down. Shut it off, buddy, now I shut you down. Shut it off, buddy, now I shut you down.
Shut Down, 1963, written by Brian Wilson and Roger Christian. Now, they would write a number of songs together in the next few years, but none would be as big as the one they wrote about a car that Roger once owned.
I had a Deuce Coupe when I was in high school, 32 Ford Deuce. And it was the first car I ever owned. And you probably remember the very first car you ever had, and you'll always have a soft spot in your heart for that car. And it was the same way with me. I had a Deuce. And even though it gave me a lot of trouble at one time or another, it still was, held fond memories enough to spawn a song, which it did.
Little scoop, you don't know what I got. I'm not bragging, babe, so don't put me down. But I've got the fastest set of wheels in town. When something comes up to me, he don't even try. 'Cause if I had a set of wings, man, I know she could fly. She's my little Deuce Coupe. You don't know what I got. Just a little Deuce Coupe with a flathead mill. But she walk a Thunderbird like she's standing still. She's boarded and relieved and she's stroked in Ford. She'll do 140 in the top end floor. She's my little Deuce Coupe. You don't know what I got. She's got a competition clutch with a 4 on the floor. And she purrs like a kitten till the lake pipes roar. And if that ain't enough to make you flip your lid, there's one more thing, I got the pink slip daddy. And coming off the line when the light turns green, well, she blows him out of the water like you never seen. I get pushed out of shape and it's hard to steer. When I get rubber in all 4 gears, she's my little Deuce Coupe. You don't know what I got. She's my little Deuce Coupe. You don't know what I got.
She's my little Deuce Coupe. You don't know what I got. Oh, yes, indeed. Hot rod music with the great Beach Boy harmony. And in the wings, the Beach Boys in concert.
Do you have any recollections of a Ritchie Valens memorial concert? Remember that at all?
Yes. Can you remember that? God, it scared me to death, half to death.
Why?
I was so nervous. That was the first time we ever performed and were billed as the Beach Boys on a big show. That was the Richie Valens Memorial Dancing Show.
Who was on
New
the show?
Year's Eve in 1961 at Long Beach Municipal Auditorium. And they had like the Ikets and the Rivingtons and, all of Richie's friends will be there, they said,
What was the first song you played on the stage that night? Do you remember?
Johnny Be Good.
Well, we got Louisiana, from New Orleans, way back up in the woods among the evergreens. There stood a little cabin made of earth and wood, where lived a country boy named Johnny Be Good. He never ever learned to read or write so well, but he could play the guitar just like a ring in the bell. Go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, go, whoa, 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 Johnny Be Good. He used to carry his guitar in a gunny sack, as if he needs the trees by the railroad track. The engineer could see us in the little shade, a strumming to the rhythm that the driver played. And each passing by would stop and say, "Hi, hi, got the little country boy to play." I said, go, go, Johnny, go, go. I said, go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. I said, go, Johnny, go, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa.
What's the biggest crowd you ever worked to?
Washington, D.C., on July 4th. About 500,000 people in front of the Washington Monument. And
That's got to be a thrill.
Well, she got her daddy's car and she cruised to the hamburger stand now. Seems she forgot all about the library like she told her old man now. And with the radio blasting goes cruising just as fast as she can now. And she'll have fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes her to the fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes her to the well, the girls can't stand her 'cause she walks, looks and cries like an ace now. You walk like an ace. She makes the Indy 500 look like a Roman chariot race. Like an ace now, you look like an ace. A lot of guys try to catch her, but she leads them on a wild goose chase. Like an ace now, you come like an ace. She'll have fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes her to the fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes her to the way. Well, you knew all along that your dad was getting wise to you now. Now you shouldn't be lying. And since he took your set of keys, you've been thinking that your fun is all for sure. Now you shouldn't be lying. But you can come along with me 'cause we got a lot of things to do now. Now you shouldn't be lying. And we'll have fun, fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket. Fun, fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket. Fun, fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away. Fun, fun. Now the daddy took the ticket away.
I gotta do it. Years and years ago, the disc jockey would say, "It feels too good. I gotta do it one more time." We're gonna do that one more time. Turn your radio up.
Well, she got her daddy's car and she cruised to the hamburger stand now. Seems she forgot all about the library like she told her old man now. And with the radio blasting, goes cruising just as fast as she can now. And she'll have fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes it to her. Fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes it to her. Well, the heroes can't stand her 'cause she walks, looks and cries like an ace. You walk like an ace now, you walk like an ace. She makes the Indy 500 look like a Roman chariot race. Like an ace now, you look like an ace. A lot of guys try to catch her, but she leads them on a wild goose chase. Like an ace now, you come like an ace. She'll
doesn't that feel good? The Beach Boys and Fun, Fun, Fun. Now, when the Beach Boys first started out, Murray Wilson gave his sons more than advice and support. He played an important part as their manager, and sometimes that caused problems. Brian reflected on the business association with his father.
My father was a very talented man. In other words, he knew the value of the balance between a drum and a voice and a guitar and a piano. He knew the perspectives. He knew, he just had a handle on it, so to speak.
When did you take over the production?
In 1964, right around just about maybe May, June of 1964, I took over. I shoved my father in the recording studio. I shoved him and told him to leave. I was very upset with him. He and I had been arguing, and he never came back.
Did you ever resolve that relationship?
Oh, absolutely. We had that all resolved. One day I started crying, and I said, I'm so sorry for shoving you, and I didn't mean to. And I told him, I said, I want this record to be right the way I feel it is right. It was I Get Around.
Oh, wow.
Was the record that we were quibbling over.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around, get around, round, round, 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 I get around. I'm getting bugged driving up and down the same old strip. I gotta find a new place where the kids are hip. Getting real well known, yeah, the bad guys know us and they leave us alone. I get around, round, round, I get around, 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 I get around, get around, car, 'cause it's never been beat, and we've never missed yet with the girls we meet. None of the guys go steady, 'cause it wouldn't be right to leave your best girl home on a Saturday night. I get around, round, round, I get around, 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 I get around. I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, 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 get around, round, round, I get around.
Oh, yes, I Get Around, the first #1 record for the Beach Boys, 1964. Roger Christian, who co-wrote some of the Beach Boys' hits, says that Brian was always looking ahead, always ready to change direction, even in the early days.
Well, Brian was always striving for more serious things. In fact, he wanted to get off the hot rod sound when it was at its peak, really. In fact, the song that was really a bridge between hot rod and love ballad was a song that Brian and I wrote called Don't Worry, Baby.
Well, it's been building up inside of me for, oh, I don't know how long. I don't know why, but I keep thinking something's bound to go wrong. But she looks in my eyes and makes me realize that she said, don't worry, baby. Everything will turn out alright. Don't worry, baby. I guess I should have kept my mouth shut when I started to break.
I love that thing. Don't Worry Baby, 1964. Now, you know, that song points up one of the talents of the Beach Boys. They can use that incredible harmony equally well on something soft like Don't Worry Baby and then turn it loose on Chuck Berry's rock and roll music. I just love the way they handle it. In January of 1964, Capitol Records released a single that went all the way to #1, and it stayed there for 7 weeks. Let me play you a little bit of it and see if he thoughts at the time.
They influenced us very much. I mean, the girls started screaming at us after the Beatles started out. As soon as everybody knew that the Beatles were the Beatles, then the rest of the groups got screamed at, you know.
Did it change you musically, your point of view?
Yeah, well, not too much. Didn't change our musical point of view very much. It did influence our creativity. It put a boost. It was a fire under the old scene, you know.
I said she put me down, but I'd do it in my head. Come in late at night, and in the morning I just lay in bed. Ronnie, you look so fine. And I wouldn't take much time for you to help me, Rhonda, help me get her out of my heart.
Rhonda. Here's an interesting note. That record hit the charts on April 17th, 1965. A few days later, Capitol Records, the Beach Boys label, released a Beatles single entitled Ticket to Ride. Both of those records hit the #1 spot. But help me, Rhonda? Well, it stayed there twice as long. Of course, the Beach Boys and the Beatles played tag at the top of the charts for a long, long while. Mike Love has a recollection of yet another British invasion and how the Beach Boys fought back.
Well, we're a very competitive bunch. And once the Rolling Stones came to the United States, the first time they came through and we were playing a show in Alabama, and they were the act that directly preceded us in Birmingham Stadium. There was 25,000 Alabamians. And they came on and they did their best to bury us. But it didn't work too well because I happen to know the state motto of Alabama.
Which is?
And I came out and I said, hey, this has been real fun. This is a nice show and everything, but it was about time we stood up for Alabama because the motto is stand up for Alabama. They stood up, yelled, screamed, and cheered and forgot about the Rolling Stones.
It's automatic when I talk with old friends. The conversation turns to the girls we knew when the hair was soft and long. And the beach was the place to go. The suntan bodies and the waves of sunshine. California girls and a beautiful coastline. And work of weather and some get together and do it again.
Boys and do it again.
Do you wanna dance and hold my hand? Tell me, baby, I'm your loving man. Oh, baby, do you wanna dance? Do you wanna dance under the moonlight? Hold me, baby, all through the night. Oh, baby, do you wanna dance? Do you wanna dance?
Another top 10 hit for the Beach Boys, their very distinctive version of the old Bobby Freeman hit, Do You Wanna Dance? I'd like to go back to the conversation with Bruce Johnston. At one point I asked him if he could sort of describe each member of the group.
Carl's very innovative, always wants to do something new. Mike Love is an incredible dreamer, and I want to be there when the big dream works, because a lot of the smaller dreams are working. Brian Wilson just kind of puts it all together in the studio, and Dennis keeps us walking on eggs, which I like, and Al Jardine says it all costs too much.
You've characterized everybody else in the group. What's your contribution?
I'm kind of the cheerleader. I like to tell everyone how great they are. I'm a fan. I don't even know why I'm in the band. I'm real lucky.
From their biggest selling album of all time, Endless Summer, the Beach Boys and All Summer Long. I mentioned in hour number one that Brian Wilson was one of the first recording artists allowed to record in any studio he desired. Well, that flexibility resulted in a long-standing association with Gold Star Studios in Hollywood. Stan Ross, who is the Gold Star co-owner and studio engineer, has worked with them all, and he paid his tribute to Brian Wilson, the producer.
Brian is a fine producer because when he heard something, his face would light up. And you know, he liked something because he would give it that shy grin that he had, that boyish face, that boyish grin. That you knew he felt something on that. He'd say, "Let me hear that again." Then he would stop the date. He'd put all the musicians on a 20 to 25-minute break, and he'd play that track over and over and over again to see if there was anything he wanted them to do over. He would say, "Hold on, that's the one." He knew there was magic in that particular take, and maybe the magic wasn't on the following takes.
Well, I can't think of a better example of that Brian Wilson Beach Boys magic than this. Number one, 1966, Sloop John B.
We come on the sloop John B. My grandfather and me. Around Nassau town we did roam. Drinking all night. Got into a fight. Well, I feel so broken. I wanna go home. So hoist up the John B. sail
Your Magic, the Beach Boys and Sloop John B. Now, the inspiration for recording that traditional folk tune came from Beach Boy member Al Jardine. Al loves folk music. And in terms of what music the group decides to record, I asked Brian Wilson if they choose the material to please themselves or their fans.
I would say both. Number one, first of all, I think when you record, you get the feeling of what you like and what you think somebody else will like. Please myself first, and that will in turn please other people.
From their 2020 album, The Beach Boys and I Can Hear Music. In 1966, Capitol Records released a very unique-sounding single by the Beach Boys. It quickly became more than just another hit. It became a classic. More to the point, it became a contemporary standard. Now, everybody connected with the Beach Boys has a story about it, and I'm going to sit back here for just a moment and let you hear some of the quick comments from a cross-section of the people, from the Beach Boys themselves to the studio engineers who worked on it to a record executive with a very surprising insight, and then finally to the man who created this classic, Brian Wilson. We start with Carl Wilson.
The first time I ever heard the music to Good Vibrations, the Beach Boys were playing up in North Dakota, and I came back into my hotel room one night, and the phone rang, and it was Brian on the other end. And he called me from the recording studio and played this really bizarre-sounding music over the phone.
We did it like a total of anywhere from 14 to 17 times.
On the Good Vibrations session, Brian used something that they called a theremin. A theremin was before the synthesizer, and it was something you played with the hands. It was electronic sound that would go between two antennas, and you'd wave your hand between those two antennas to get this weird effect.
I think when we heard Good Vibrations finally edited, mixed, we thought we were either going to have the biggest hit in the world or the career was over.
I can remember doing 25, 30 vocal overdubs of the same part. And when I say part, I mean same section of a record, maybe no more than 2, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds long.
So he plays this song. I mean, it knocked me out. There was only one slight problem. It wasn't the Beach Boys singing it. They had a young man singing it that they'd gone to high school with at Hawthorne High. I said, my goodness, this thing is a smash hit for the Beach Boys. It was called Good Vibrations.
One of the most talked about recording sessions ever was Good Vibrations.
Yeah.
I have read a lot about it. I've talked to other people. There are a lot of conflicting stories that come to the horse's mouth. You tell me, why was that such an important work for you?
Well, because we were well into the mid-'60s, and by that time I think it was time for somebody to do something that had a little merit, had a little message to it, and we put together Good Vibrations in a very odd manner.
What do you mean by that? Why was it strange?
Well, strange in that we utilized something like 5 or 6 studios to put the thing together. We recorded the I love the colorful clothes she wears, those sections at Gold Star, and the I'm picking up good vibrations. That was recorded at Columbia. So
now, how long did this process take?
Truthfully, from conception to end, I think the record took about 3 months.
In those days, what did a single record normally cost to produce?
Oh, in those days, you could record a single record for, $1,500.
The Punchline, what did Good Vibrations cost?
Oh, Good Vibrations cost about $15,000.
Wow.
I love the colorful clothes she wears, and the way the sunlight plays upon her hair. I hear the sound of a gentle word on the wind that lifts her perfume through the air. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Good vibrations. Close my eyes. She's somehow closer now. Softly smile, I know she must be kind. In her eyes, she goes with me to a blossom room. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Good vibrations. Excitations. Good vibrations. I don't know where, but she sends me there. Gotta keep those loving good vibrations happening with her. Gotta keep those loving good vibrations happening with her. Gotta keep those loving good
That is a classic by anybody's definition. Good vibrations. And if ever there was any doubt in anybody's mind that the Beach Boys were more than just another surfer group, that record puts all doubts to rest. And for Chuck Britz, one of the engineers privileged to work on the session, it was also only the beginning.
We did a song right after that I thought was every bit as big a potential as Good Vibrations and as strong, if not, in my eyes, it even had certain things in it that beat Good Vibrations, which was called Heroes and Villains.
But she's still dancing in the night, unafraid of what it do in town for the heroes My children were raised, you know they suddenly rise. They started slow long ago, head to toe, helping wealthy and wise.
When he stopped touring with the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson spent most of his creative time in the studio, writing and producing, and he loved to work with other artists. He would help wherever and whenever he could. Dean Torrance of Jan and Dean remembers the help they got from Brian Wilson.
Oh, yeah. Brian spent a lot of time in the studio with us. Actually, we were recording at the time Brian walked in. He listened to our tune and kind of shrugged his shoulders. It was a pretty average tune, as I remember. Brian said, well, hey, listen to my tune. So he sat down and he played Surfing USA. And we went nuts. I mean, of course, we were all raised on Chuck Berry. And we said, Brian, that's really, really great. So Jan tried to talk Brian into giving us Surfing USA. And Brian said, well, I don't know. I think I'd rather keep that for ourselves. But I do have another surfing tune that is similar. And he sits down at the piano and he plays 2 Girls for Every Boy. We said, we'll take it.
2 girls for every boy. Surf City, here we come. Surf City, here we come. But it still gets me where I want. Two girls for every boy. Surf City, here we come. Surf City, here we come. And all you gotta do is just wink your eye. Surf City, Surf City, Surf City, Surf City. Two girls for every boy. Surf City, here we come. Surf City, here we come. And checking out the parties for a surfer girl. Surf City, Surf City, Surf City, Surf City. Two girls for every, two girls for every boy.
Going to Surf City where it's 2-1, a Brian Wilson original which became a #1 smash for Janet Dean in 1963. Now, 3 years later, Dean Torrance found occasion to, well, sort of repay that favor, although he didn't know about it at the time. Dean and Mike Love joked about it recently when I asked them if they remembered the story.
Yeah, if you can remember it, Dean. that was a party night,
I'm
wasn't it?
senile. Oh, yes, Mike, that was a real party.
Yeah, the Rovell sisters were there, and I remember Diane Rovell had the hots for you, Dean.
She still does.
No way I could get a serious answer until Dean and I sat down alone, but the story and the song are worth waiting for.
We happened to be in the studio at the same time. They were in Studio B, we were in Studio A. Jan was working on some god-awful tune that I couldn't stand, sitting there hitting each single note on the piano, making sure that they were absolutely perfect. And I said, look, while you're working on that, Jan, I mean, I know you got to sing at least 6 notes. That should take you an hour and a half. I'll come back in a while, okay? He said, well, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going down the hall to the Beach Boys. They're in Studio B doing the party album. I know that we were told not to go down there, but I'm just going to go down and listen. Don't worry, I won't sing a note. He said, well, you better not, because you do remember that they're going to sue you. I said, okay, I don't want to get sued. So I walked down the hall, and there was this party going on in Studio B. A lot of beer, a lot of friends. I think I walked in, and within 3 minutes, we were doing Barbara Ann.
Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, oh, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, you got me rocking and a rolling, rocking and a reeling, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, went to a dance, looking for romance, saw Barbara Ann, so I thought I'd take a chance with Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann. You got me rocking and a rolling, rocking and a reeling, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann. You got me rocking and a rolling, rocking and a reeling, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann. Barbara Ann. Barbara Ann.
Great song, great story. Barbara Ann and the Beach Boys with an able assist from Dean Torrance. Now, years ago, you couldn't have identified him. He could not be credited with his performance on the record at that time because he had a conflict of interest between record labels. But at the end of the song, now, if you listen very carefully, we'll play it again, you'll hear Carl Wilson saying, "Thanks, Dean." Listen carefully.
Let's try it once more. One more time. With more artistic flavor. You got me rocking and rolling for Barbara Ann. You got me rocking, you got me rolling for Barbara
Ann. There you have it, the saga of Barbara Ann. You know, when you've recorded hundreds of songs and sold millions of records, it may not be easy to point to one particular single or one album and say, that is my favorite. But for Brian Wilson, the answer came easily.
I'm most proud of Good Vibrations because it exemplifies a whole era. I mean, it's a whole involved piece of music that exemplifies it. It says something, you know, and it's something I'm proud of. I'm proud of Pet Sounds too because it was an artistic album, and it was considered by many people a very artistic album.
From Pet Sounds, here's God Only Knows.
I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, the life would still go on, believe me. The world could show nothing to me, so what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. Still go on, believe me. The world could show nothing to me, so what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. And God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without.
A classic track from a classic album, God Only Knows, from Pet Sounds. I asked Mike Love if that was a difficult album to make.
difficult. Oh, it was arduous in the extreme. A passage of one little thing on Good Vibrations, or Wouldn't It Be Nice? We did it over and over and over. And not only was it because to get the note, we wanted the notes right, but the timbre and quality of each note and how all the four parts would resonate together. And then Brian would be hearing something that nobody could hear, including a dog, you know. I mean, and he would say, do it again. We'd say, do it again. What, are you crazy? And it was exhausting, but it came out pretty good.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were older, then we wouldn't have to wait so long? And wouldn't it be nice to live together in the kind of world where we belong? No one's gonna make it that much better when we can say goodnight and stay together. Wouldn't it be nice if we could wake up in the morning when the day is blue, and after having spent the day together, hold each other close the whole night through? What happy times together we've been spending. I wish that every kiss was never ending. But wouldn't it be nice? Maybe if we think and wish and hope and pray it might come true. Run, run, baby, then there wouldn't be a single thing we couldn't do. Or we could be married, or we could be married, and then we'd be happy, and then we'd be happy. Or wouldn't it be nice? You know, it seems the more we talk about it, it only makes it worse to live without it. But let's talk about it. Wouldn't it be
Music from Pet Sounds, the Beach Boys, and Wouldn't It Be Nice?
on the beach? You'll find them there in the sun and salty air. The girls on the beach are all within reach if you know what to do.
I hope you've enjoyed our anniversary tribute to that great American band, the Beach Boys. I hope you heard some of your favorite sounds. Before we go, I've got a note here from a fan that I'd like to share with you. It said, Dear Dick, I was in Los Angeles recently, and a friend told me that you were doing a tribute show to the Beach Boys. I'm 38 years old. I have never written a fan letter, but I had to write this time. I was a lot younger when I first heard their music, and although I didn't know anything about surfing, there was something in that music that lifted my spirits every time I heard it. I dabble a little in writing, and I've enclosed a short piece of original prose written to say thanks. Well, you know, I can't think of a better way to close out our anniversary tribute than to share it with you. Here goes. They rode in one day on waves of imagination. 5 nights jousting on man-made steeds. Free spirits who sang of the sun and endless summers. We chased dreams together, the Beach Boys and me, in my room or my little deuce coupe, on a mystical safari, in search of the perfect wave. I could feel the wind at my back as we set out on the sloop John B. And as we hoisted sail, I would leave far behind all within me that needed remaking.
Wouldn't it be nice if all the heroes and villains, friends and darlings of my youth could be with me now that I've grown up to be a man? In the sounds and good vibrations of the Beach Boys, they're with me still, and will be, as long as their music lives on. Long live the Beach Boys.
Well, East Coast girls are hip. I really dig those styles they wear.